Welcome to Learn Yourself. Today we are going to study about Chapter 9, Force and Laws of Motion. This is under CBSE Standard 9 syllabus. So first of all, when we are talking about force, so what is the meaning of force? When we want to move anything, when we want to push anything, whatever pressure or whatever strength we are applying in one particular direction, that is force. Force is not a new term for us. We know what is force. So now let us learn about some of the dimension of the force which till now we did not know. So what is the definition of force, or when we are using the force? So all these definitions and all the statements are when you are relating it to practical situation. Those statements are really very easy, but somewhere we are using some scientific terminology and some physics language. So those words you have to remember, and those words should reflect in your answer when you are writing any particular answer for the question. Then only it will be correct for any particular question. So now let us understand what is force. A force can be used to change the magnitude of velocity. Magnitude of velocity. Now first of all, what is a velocity? That we have already learned in chapter 8. Here we are using many concepts from chapter 8. So if you have any doubt regarding velocity, acceleration, when the car starts, what will be its velocity, when it applies brake, then the force will be applicable to its opposite direction of the motion and all such things. If you have any doubt, please refer my video based on chapter 8, in which I have discussed all the things in detail. Then come back to this chapter, and this chapter will be very easy for you. So here, magnitude. First of all, what is the magnitude? Magnitude means any physical quantity. For example, magnitude of weight. So 20 kg, 22 kg, one physical quantity assigned with that characteristic property is known as magnitude. So magnitude of velocity. Velocity means the change of speed with respect to time. Change of speed with respect to time, either it will be increasing or decreasing. It should be with respect to time. Then it is known as velocity. So here, magnitude of velocity. So where we are using force? In first case, we are using force to change speed. Either we are increasing or we are applying brake. Brake, what is a brake? When we are applying brake, we are applying force against motion. So that is also by application of the force. So we are decreasing the speed. When we are increasing the speed, that means we are pushing a vehicle in one particular direction, or a ball is coming from one certain direction and we are kicking it to other side. So in both the example, either we are increasing velocity or we are decreasing velocity. So in change of speed with respect to time, so we are either increasing speed or decreasing speed. Both the things we are doing with the help of force. When we are applying force, we can do either of the thing. Then velocity of an object, or to change its direction of the motion. As I said earlier, ball is coming from one direction, you are kicking and you are throwing it, or you are kicking it towards the goalpost. So you are changing the direction of the ball. So that is what you are doing here when you are applying force. So here, second thing what you are doing is changing its direction. So with the application of force, basically two things we can do. If body is already in the motion, then either you can increase its speed or decrease its speed. And second thing, that you can change its direction. All the things we can do with the help of force. And third thing which is important, which is not reflecting into this statement, is by applying force either we can stop the motion or we can start the motion, right? By applying force, ball is at the resting position, so when we are kicking it, then we are applying force, we are sending it to one particular direction. Or if it is in the motion, somebody is throwing a cricket ball towards you, batsman hits the cricket ball towards you and you are catching it into your hand, so you are stopping its motion. So these two things also you can do with the help of force. Third possible point is that if it is at the resting position, if any object is at the resting position, then you can give that object motion, or otherwise also it is possible that if it is in the motion, then by application of force you can stop its motion, right? So this is the third thing. So all these things we can do with the help of force. So in each and everything we need to apply force to change a direction, to increase and decrease the velocity, and third, give them a motion or stop them from the moving. So all these things we can do with the help of force. Now let us understand about balanced and unbalanced force. Balanced and unbalanced force. Now what is the meaning of balanced and unbalanced force? Before understanding that, let us assume one situation that one big box is there and I am pushing it. How much should I push? It should be more than its weight, or if it is heavy, then I have to push harder and harder until my force will be more than its weight. Then only I can push it further. If it's lightweight, then easily I can push it further. But if it is heavy, then how much harder should I push? My push should be more than its weight. Then only I can push it further. Now let us understand this situation as per the physics terminology and as per the physics learning. So whenever I am saying that my push should be more than its weight, that means why it is happening like that? Because always whenever two surfaces are coming in close to each other, or they are coming in contact with each other, there will be a friction force between them. There will be a friction force between them, and friction force is very important. Because of friction force we are able to walk on the surface. If there will be no friction force, then we may fall, right? There should be proper friction force in between our shoes and floor, then only we can walk perfectly. So here, what is a friction force? Friction force is a friction applicable in between any two surfaces. It is not only with shoes and road, but even in the machineries. When two surfaces are coming in contact with each other, we can see that there will be a friction. If continuous movement will be there of rope on the stone, then we can see the marks of the rope on the stone, right? That is a friction. Those marks have come from the friction. So all these are the example of the friction. Now let us understand that the friction force arises between two surfaces in contact. It is important that those two surfaces should be in contact with each other. Now imagine that this is a box and I want to push it from the left side to right side. I want to push this box. Now there can be two situations. In first situation, box will not move, and second situation, box will move. So let us first understand first situation, when box will not move. Why it is not moving? Because friction force balances the pushing force. Whatever force I am applying on the box will be balanced by the friction. Because where the friction force will be applicable over here, it will be in the opposite direction. Friction force will be applicable in opposite direction. Friction force is applying towards me. Friction force is applying towards me when I am pushing it from left side to right side. Its application will be from right side to left side. So when it is balances, When it is balances means how much ever I am pushing, that much force I am getting it back from the opposite side, from the right side to left side. So it is balances the pushing force. Whatever force I am giving it, it is balancing that. So that's why the box will not move. So what is the reason why I cannot move the box? Because whatever force I am applying, that force is balanced by the friction force. And why it is balanced by the friction force? If you want to balance it, imagine a situation in a tug of war, right? A team and B team will be in opposite direction, like this. Here it is A team and here it is B team. B team is pulling towards right side and A team is pulling towards left side. So nothing will happen until one team will pull harder. They will take it the rope towards themselves. Why this has happened? Because the force will be unbalanced at that particular situation. Imagine a situation that A team won this race. Why? Because they have applied unbalanced force. They pull it harder. They pull it harder compared to B team. If their force will be balanced, how much ever force is applicable from the A team, the same force will be applicable from the B team. Then it will take time to finish the match, right? As soon as one team will applying unbalanced force and they are pulling it harder towards themselves, here the case is for the A team, that they have pulled harder and they took the whole rope towards themselves. So here this is an example of unbalanced force. So box will not move because friction force balances the pushing force. Friction force will be always in opposite direction. Here force will balance because this is balanced situation. They are pulling it towards this side and A team is pulling it towards this side. So that force will be balanced. Here also I am pushing it towards this side and friction force is from the opposite side. So that force will be balanced. Now in which situation box will move? So in pushing force becomes bigger than the friction force. When I am pushing it harder, then my force will be larger compared to friction. Whatever friction force is applicable over here will become less, will be less compared to force I am applying. In that situation box will move, and it will move in which direction? It will move in this direction. It will move in opposite direction of the friction force, and it will move in the direction which I wanted to move it, right? So this direction you can say that it will be in opposite of friction force and it will be in the direction of the force applied. I have applied force from left to right direction. So it will move in the direction of the force only and it will be in the opposite direction of the friction force. Here you have to remember the terminology, but if you will imagine a practical situation, then it is very easy, right? That when your force is balanced with the friction force, you cannot move a thing. When your force is unbalanced, when you are pushing it harder and the friction force will be less, then you can easily move a thing. So when you can move a thing? When you are applying unbalanced force. So with the help of unbalanced force, what all things we can do? So with unbalanced force, we can change speed of any object. So either we can increase the speed or we can decrease the speed by unbalanced force. Then change of direction. If it is coming from one particular direction, we can change its direction of the motion with the help of unbalanced force. So these are the application of unbalanced force. When we are applying force which is larger than the friction, then it will show some result in the movement of the object. Either we can increase the speed or decrease the speed, or we can change the direction of the motion. Then what balanced force can do? Can you think of any example? What is the meaning of balanced force? Balanced force means force has been balanced by the friction. So it will not show any result in any particular condition because it has been balanced. So whatever force we are applying, it has been balanced. So we cannot see any result in the case of balanced force. So we cannot do any work with the help of balanced force.